Hello all, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss about Azure Container Registries. So if you can see from this particular diagram, the end user basically is writing a Docker file and they are building the Docker file, and after build the Docker file, it's basically produce a Docker image, and the image we are going to push in ACR. So in simple words, Azure Container Registry is a central location or central service where we are putting our or storing our Docker images. So it's basically similar to a Docker Hub. Docker Hub is also a registry services. So next slide, introduction to container registries in Azure. So Azure Container Registry is a managed registry service based on open source Docker Registries 2.0. So basically it's completely managed by Microsoft. We just need to push our Docker images on this particular registry and we have to use it. A container registry is a collection of repositories made to store container images. A container image is a file comprised of multiple layers which can execute application in a single instance. So basically when we generate a Docker image, this Docker image contains multiple layers of code. So which basically execute our applications, whatever we have written in this particular Docker file. During the application development process, developers should have access to all the container images needed for the applications. So when the developers work on any application or they develop any applications, they might need multiple images to use in their code base. So basically all the developers who is writing the particular applications related to that application, they should have access to all the images which we have in Azure Container Registries. Hosting all the images in one stored location allows user to commit, identify and pull images whenever needed. So it's very easy if we store all the data in central locations and people have access on that particular location. So it will easy for them to pull and verify the images or any content or artifacts. So that's the purpose of Azure Container Registry services. So there is a difference between repositories and registries. So a lot of people got confused with these terms, repositories and registries. So the term repository and registry may be easily confused when talking about containers. So we'll understand. So registry is a service that store and distributes container images and related artifacts. So registry basically we are storing all the repositories, container images in the particular service, in the particular locations. Container registries also have two options of being hosted publicly or privately. So you have an option, you can host this particular ACR registries publicly or privately. As per your need, you have to configure it. And a repository is a collection of container images or other artifacts in a registry that have the same name but different tags. For example, the following three images are in the ACR Hello World repository. So basically we have a repository called ACR-Hello World, and under this particular repositories we have three images. So if you see ACR-Hello World latest, so latest, B1, B2, these are the tags basically. So in single repository you can have multiple images with the help of tags. So that's the main difference between repositories and registries. Azure Container Registry service tiers. So basically there are three tiers: basic, standard and premium. Accordingly Microsoft charge. It's suppose if you are using basic you will charge less, if you are using standard or premium you will charge more, and there are few features which is not available in basic and standard versions. So for that you have to use premium only. So if you see here, included storage we have 10 GB in basic, 100 in standard and 500 in premium. So I have actually taken this screenshot from Microsoft website. So there are few common basically services or resources I have included here. But if you have to compare all these features or the resources in all the three tiers, then you have to go and visit the Microsoft websites. So for just understanding purpose, I have mentioned few of the resources here and the difference basically. So just geo applications, availability zones, private endpoints, customer managed keys. So these features basically you cannot get in basic and standard version, and they supports in only premium versions. If you are using premium, definitely they will charge more. So basically, as per our requirement, we need to make a selection of this particular service tier. So there are a few best practices for Azure Container Registries. So first is network close deployment. So create your container registries in the same Azure region in which you deploy containers. So whenever you deploy a container, you have to, like, mostly you have to deploy your containers in the same location where you have Azure registry services hosted. So because it will be easy, or the like is basically performance will be high. So placing your registry in a region that is network close to your container host can help lower in both latency and cost. Next, we have geo-replicated multi-region deployment. So use Azure Container Registry's geo-replication feature if you are deploying containers to multiple regions. Next, we have repositories namespaces. So by using repository namespaces, you can allow sharing a single registry across multiple groups within the organizations. So if you can see here, this is a single registry contoso.azurecr.io, and then we have products, and the last part, if you see bizet and /web1, these are different. So basically single registries you can use in multiple places. Next, we have image size. So minimize the size of your image by removing unnecessary layer or reducing the size of layers. One way to reduce image size is to use multi-stage Docker build approach to include only the necessary runtime components. So it's very important things. Multi-stage Docker file you have to write if you want to reduce the size of your image. So if you reduce the size of your image, your container will be run very fast. So next we have ACR demo. So basically I'll create a resource group. Then in the particular resource group, we will deploy Azure Container Registries, and then we will push one of the images here. So let's start the demo. So basically I am going to use Azure CLI to create a Azure Container Registries. You can also create from the Azure portal or Azure PowerShell also. So I'm going to use Azure CLI from here. So if you can see, I have already written the commands. So first is AZ login. So basically we are authorizing to Azure portal, so we can create a resource group. Next, we are creating a container registries with the name of demo 76453, and tier basically I have chosen basic. Next what we will do, we will log into this particular registries and we will pull images. First we have to push the image, basically we have to push the particular Docker image in the registries. So before that, first you have to pull the Docker image in your local machines. For that you have to install Docker container, Docker engine basically in your local system. Then only you can pull or push the image on the Azure CLI. So let's start. So first command is AZ login. So it's asking for authorization basically. So I'll pick my account. Now I can close this particular browser. So it's authorized now. So if you can see all these things, it means you have authorized to this particular Azure portal. So next task we have to create a resource group. So I'll just copy this particular command, which is AZ group create -- name. This is the resource group name, test1, and location I have chosen East US. So okay, it's completed successfully. So if you have to verify this particular resource group test1, so what we can do, I'll go to my Azure portal. If I'll go to resource group, I can see here, let me refresh it. So you can see I have test1 resource group here. So next we need to create a container registry. So for that I'm going to run this particular command. So it will take few minutes. So my container registry is created. Next what we will do, we will log into this particular Container Registries. So for that, I'll run this particular command AZ-ACL login -- registry name. So you can see our login succeeded. Now what we will do, we will create a image called mcr.microsoft.com hello world image, basically from the Docker Hub. So for that, basically I'll run this particular command. This basically first we are pulling image in the locally, then we will tag it, and then we will push it to the ACR. So if I'll go back to my Azure Container Registry here, which is demo 76453, which we have specified. So if I'll go to repositories here, so we don't have anything here basically. So now we are going to push the image here. So I'll copy this particular command. So it's using the default tag, which is latest. So it's it's pull completed successfully. Now we will tag this particular image. So its tag is also completed. Now we need to push this particular image in our Azure Container Registries. So I will run this particular command. You can see it start pushing. Okay, it's pushed. Okay, so it's completed. Now we will verify in our Azure portal. So I'll just refresh this. So we can see here hello world image, and if you want to see the tags, this is the B1 tag which we have specified. So if I'll go back to my BS code, if you see the tag version 1 we have specified. So similarly we can have multiple version of this particular repositories. So again I'll go back to my BS code. Now we will list the containers. So here basically I'll just specify my registry name, which is okay, sorry, I think registry name should be this fully qualified name. So basically we are running this command to fetch all the repository list in particular table format. So you can see the results. Hello world, we have only one image as of now. So that's how basically Azure Container Registry work. So next video we will see about Azure Container instances. So thank you so much. See you in next video.